And yes, this is the quant section analysis 2022 EOM CAT 3. Let's have a look at the overall chapters that were involved. A well spread across arithmetic, a little less from probably algebra. Basic algebra, just surds and indices chapter, one question. Advanced algebra, we had inequalities, one question, and functions, there were two. Arithmetic took the larger chunk, 14 questions, with numbers, two, profit and loss, two questions, percentage, time and work, averages, 111, time, speed, distance at two, and averages, allocations and mixtures at two questions. The advanced algebra had two from permutation combination and one from progressions. 4 questions of geometry, 2 from triangles, 1 from quadrilaterals, and 1 from coordinate geometry. A total of 22 questions. This time I'm going to analyze it from the student's perspective, not outside the test, but during the test. What would you be thinking, or how should you be thinking during a test? Whether to attempt a particular question or not. Should you skip that question or not? The order in which you view the questions is not important. You can select any random order. But the order of attempting should not be the same as the order of viewing the questions. What I mean is, if you viewed question 1 and you attempted it, okay, you viewed question 2 now. That doesn't mean you're supposed to solve question 2. You can skip it. Viewing order is different from attempting order. You think that a question is difficult. You think that a question is moderate, not to be solved now. Don't attempt it right now. Solve the other easier ones. Search for the easier ones, solve them, and then go back to the moderate ones. So that's what I will analyze on, focus on this time. The first question was on percentages. A very easy question, not to be skipped. Should be done in a fairly short time. So a very easy question. The second from algebra, surds and indices was easy. A classroom type of a question. You should have identified this question from your classroom material. Oh, we have solved something like this in the class. So I'll call this easy question. The third was a progressions. Almost easy, but I'll still call it moderate because you might not have solved too many such questions. So I'll still call it moderate. Yes, but anybody who's expecting a 98 percentile should have solved this question. If you're expecting somewhere around 90 percentile, maybe you could have skipped this question. The fourth question on numbers was actually easy. Easy from different perspectives. If I am to actually solve this question, it is still moderate in time consumption. Easy in concept, a little moderate in consumption of time. But if you understand there are certain shortcuts, certain approaches which you must remember, properties which we must remember, then this was a very easy question. Time, speed, distance, the fifth question is again a very easy question. Very easy because, okay, let's not call it very easy. I'll just call it easy because there is some redundant information. If Raghav would have been 2 kilometers, that was not to be used at all. Just read the first sentence and you have the answer. Ideally, a very easy question. Should have been done. The next question is permutation combination. Arranging numbers so that they are divisible by 11. Ideally, such questions could be a little bit lengthy. But if you see the digits, they are quite in your favor. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. only one possible way of arranging in that particular thing and then permuting within that. So quite easy as such. This should also have been done. This question, seventh, looks like a geometry question, but I'm classifying this as maxima minima. So inequalities. It is more to do with maxima minima than geometry. So I'm classifying this as inequalities. Difficult question. Maybe everybody, almost everybody should have left this question. It is okay if you had left this question. I wouldn't say, oh, why did you leave it? So I would be happy if you had, rather, I would be happy if you had left this question. Sorry for that. Functions. The eighth question on functions was easy. Functions is usually frightening. X raised to 3, 3 raised to x. Quite confusing. And then you see so many brackets. Again, you think, I should have left this question. But look at the value. When do you have to solve for? You don't have to solve for x in general. You have to find the value when x is equal to 1. Just 1. So the moment you see this, you should have realized that, yes, this is an easy question. And it has to be done. This question should have been done. So easy. The ninth question is profit and loss. Maybe a little lengthier in solving, but numbers are all in your favor. Very good settings. Can be solved quite fast, except the link small. I mean, there are wholesaler, retailer, manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer, customer. So a little longer link that way, but worth solving. This could have been done within a good limit of the exam. Coordinate geometry. A moderate question here. If you understand what it is, quite fast also it can be solved. But I will still say this is moderate. Maybe if you're not expecting 98 percentile, you can skip this question. But anybody around 97, 98, 95, even 95 percentile, maybe they should have identified this as a doable question. Moderate but doable question. Averages, quite okay, easy question. Frame equations and solve them quickly. Use logic, that is also okay, but quite manageable. This could have been done within the time limit. You know what I would have done when I saw this question? I would have just done this. I would have just skipped that question. This question on numbers, I would have skipped this question within probably 6 seconds, 5 to 6 seconds. I would have read this question to realize that, it is worth skipping this question right now. Sometimes there are coincidences. Things become easy if you solve. But if you cannot find that coincidence, you get entangled and then you don't feel like leaving a question. So that is the problem. You cannot solve it and you don't want to leave it. You cannot leave it and you cannot solve it. You're stuck with that question for 10 minutes and then you realize, it's 10 minutes. So such questions should be skipped at the first trial. So this was a difficult question from numbers. 13th question was triangles. Even this was difficult. Perpendicular medians. For those who have completed geometry and for those who have even been doing a little bit of marathon studies, they might be a little familiar with what is being done here. Otherwise, this is difficult question and it should have been skipped. One thing, I don't know why when this question is there, such questions are there, everybody starts drawing and everybody starts with drawing a triangle. As if you know that this triangle is going to have perpendicular medians. No, that's not the right approach. Do look at the solution and see the approach, but this difficult question should have been left during the test. This is a moderate question on functions. Moderate because there is fx, a different condition for fx. how it is defined, a different way of definition of gx. Then you are asked for f of 4 and g of 2. Only f of 3 is given, nothing is given for g. So both have different approaches for finding the values. A little maybe appearing lengthy. So I'm putting this as moderate. Still moderate, not difficult, moderate. 97, 98 percentile if you are expecting, you can solve this question. Otherwise, you could have skipped this question. Those who are fast with their calculations, they could have tried this question. Permutation and combination, worth solving. You can use direct approaches, you can use indirect approaches. Both the ways, it was worth solving. I'll call this a moderate question. Time and work. 16th question, time and work, a very easy question. Just consider all the inlets as one inlet and all the outlets as one single outlet, and solve this question very quickly. This was easy. 17th question, profit and loss. I would rather call it very easy. Very easy. And you could have got an answer very quickly also, and I'm sure everybody would be even correct when they solve this question. Not at all tricky. The 18th question is allegations and mixtures. Now, sometimes such questions can actually be lengthy. They can be lengthy in solving, lengthy in reading. But sometimes, as you know, there are opportunities. Difficult looking questions, easy, moderate looking questions can actually be solved within seconds rather than minutes. This is one of those questions. There is no need to worry about liquid P, water, liquid Q, because you're only asked about R, and R only comes from this third solution, third mixture. And the numbers are absolutely in your favor. So for anybody who had seen that, for anybody who had been smart enough to see that, this is an easy question. Otherwise, I'm putting it actually as moderate. A time speed distance question, easy one again. Absolute fundamentals, inverse proportionality of speed and time for the same distance. So absolutely easy question here, worth solving. At your first trial, you should be able to identify such questions as easy questions and worth solving the moment you see them in the first trial itself. The 20th question was on triangles. Moderate question, not easy, moderate, because many of you would not have just gone through the triangles geometry. Even for those who have gone through, how to get that, maybe a little bit, something which might not strike at the exam at the last moment. So I'm still putting it as moderate. But maybe, yes, that could have been skipped. The second last question was on mixtures. Let's call it moderate because of the lengthy explanations, links, something in mixture A, something in mixture B, then again answer the question. Just a little bit lengthy, and that is why I'm putting it as moderate, otherwise quite easy, manageable. This could have been done within good time limit. The last question was on geometry. Even for somebody who had not done geometry, who just knows what an equilateral triangle is, maybe it was worth trying. Maybe you could have got a solution. Maybe even in the exam, even for those who had not gone through geometry. I'm putting this as a moderate question and worth trying for those who know a little bit about geometry. So this was again a question worth solving. So these 22 questions, if you see, 11 were easy, 8 moderate, 3 difficult. I would expect a 98 percentiler to skip one easy and one moderate question and all the difficult questions for this moment. I would expect 17 attempts from a 98 percentiler. With 17 attempts and 2 wrong, because you're not attempting any difficult question, I would not expect more than 2 errors. A small misprint, of course. 15 correct and 2 wrong will give a score of 43. The expected score would have been that of 43 at 98 percentile. For 100 percentile, 61 score. 99 percentile, 51. 95 percentile can be at 36, 90 at 29, and 80 percentile at just 20 questions, 20 marks. 20 marks is like 7 or 8 attempts. Out of the 11 easy, attempt 8 and let's say 1 is wrong. And you can achieve still an 80 percentile. So this is the analysis of the quant section of EOM 3 for this year. Work hard, stay safe.
Hello and welcome to the analysis of 2022 EOM CAT 3. We will be analyzing the DILR section here. Let's get started. So this was the first set, question number 1 to 4. This particular set gives you the information about 12 tennis players. So you can see the small table here, ABC, PQR, XYZ, etc. are the name of the players. These players have been divided into 2 categories, that is junior and senior, and have been further bifurcated into males and females. Now these are the conditions, as many as the 6 conditions, based on which you have to form a team of 2 players. So once you start following these instructions, you'll definitely land onto something within first 5 minutes. Later on, you can build on it and make few cases and complete the rest of the puzzle. Not certainly easy, but at the same time, not something which cannot be done at all. So this is how I would rate this set as a moderately difficult. You can spend as many as 8 to 10 minutes on this and take 3 to 4 questions out of the first set. Let's come to the second set. Second set is a mixed graph, which gives you a table as well as a bar graph. Now the table shows you 4 different companies, that is FUL, TNG, Boreal and Tevlon. And there are 11 brands here, that is P1 through P11. The last column in the table gives you the percentage change in the sales value with respect to the last year. And the bar graph given on the right side gives you the market share for these 11 brands. Now, out of the 4 questions given, if you just leave the last question where the options are too close, the first 3 questions could have been easily managed. So I would rate this set as easy to moderately difficult. You can spend around 6 to 8 minutes and take the first 3 questions. Third set, question number 9 to 11. Now this one is based on 5 boxes. As you can see in the description, A, B, C, D, E, these are 5 boxes. Now these 5 boxes contain different type of pen. So the type of pens are Radiant pen, Planet pen, Ultimate pen, Russell pen and Planet pen. Moreover, the number of these different types of pens are also different. What we need to do is we need to find out the initial arrangement as to which box contains which type of pen and how many pens. And later on, there is a transfer being done according to certain condition. So we have to find out the final scenario also after the transfer has been completed. Now this might sound difficult initially. Maybe you cannot complete the arrangement at the first attempt, but if you want to see yourself in the higher end of the percentile bracket, then this is the set that makes the difference, even if that means spending a few minutes extra on this set. Except for one question where you had to check validity of each of the statements given in the option, the first 3 questions could have been done once you complete the set. This is how I would rate this set, moderate to difficult, and you can spend around 10 minutes, maybe maximum 2 minutes more, so 10 to 12 minutes you can spend on this, and you can take first 3 questions and leave the last one. Coming to the fourth set, question number 13 to 16. So this is a very straightforward set. There is a salon given, and in this salon there are 6 workers working, that is Sharon, Lita, Tanya, Shloka, Afrin and Meher. The details given in the table gives you the number of customers handled by each of these employees and the number of treatments that have been offered to these customers, right? So what you have to do is maybe a customer will be given minimum of 1 treatment, or 2 treatments or maximum of 3 treatments, right? So you have to make several cases here. Once you spend around first 5 to 6 minutes, you will end up completing all the cases, right? And based on that, all the 4 questions can be answered. So according to me, this particular set can be rated as easy level set. There are 4 questions which can be taken from this particular set very easily, and you can spend around 6 to 8 minutes maximum on this set. Coming to the last set, this is the NGO based set, where the NGO was engaged into making and selling masks. Now, there are certain challenges with respect to this set. The first one, that is no uniformity of the scale, which you will realize at a very later stage. Secondly, there are multiple variables that you need to assume. So you might have, X, Y, Z, 3 to 4 variables into the equations, and the logic also seems to be slightly on the difficult side. So maybe first 2 to 3 minutes spent on this particular set will make you understand that this is something that you should not get into. So you should have left this set alone without attempting a single question. So my suggestion here is this set would be difficult. You need to spend around 2 to 3 minutes to judge the difficulty, and you understand that this is something which should not be done. So number of questions to be attempted here is 0, right? Now, based on this analysis, what we can summarize is this. First set, question number 1 to 4, the set which is based on team formation, we classified it as a moderately difficult set, and we suggested around 3 to 4 attempts which can be made from this set. Second, 5 to 8, the one which is based on market share of different companies and their brands, was easy to moderate, and I suggested you to solve the first 3 sets here, first 3 questions, sorry. 9 to 12, third set, distribution of pens into boxes. This is a set which can be classified as moderate to difficult, right? And this is the game changer set, right? So as many as 3 questions can be solved from this. 13 to 16, a very straightforward one. All the 4 questions could have been taken. And 17 to 20, the last set, was a difficult one. You could have left alone, right? So if you just add these numbers, that is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, this gives me the expected attempts from this paper, which is 13. Now this expected attempt is based on keeping a well prepared student, somebody who is a 98 percentiler in mind. Okay, otherwise ideal attempt for different scores will be definitely different, but here I'm benchmarking a particular percentile, that is 98 percentile, and based on that, this 13 would be an ideal attempt. Let us see further calculation on this. So we discussed 13 attempts to be done by a 98 percentiler. Accuracy, I will be taking around 85% accuracy. So on that basis, I can expect 11 attempts to be correct, 2 incorrect, and therefore the net score would work out to be 11 into 3, 33 minus 2, that is 31. This is my expected score for a 98 percentiler. Now look at this chart here. Focus on the green highlighted row, right? 98 percentile is equivalent to a score of 31. Let us understand the remaining percentiles as well. So if you are somebody who is just starting out your preparation and you have not attended a lot of DI or reasoning based sessions, then you can first target and get into this particular table, which is by getting 16 score as a net 16 as a net score. Now 16 net score means you should have solved around 5 to 6 questions, right? So that should be the first target. You cannot simply target to solve 10 to 13 questions and immediately get into 98 or 99 percentile. You have to start from the first step, which is to score 16 marks anyhow, which is making 5 to 6 attempts, right? And that fetches you 80 percentile. Later on, you can keep on improving yourself. So 22 score will give you 90 percentile. Your 95 percentile is at a score of 26, and definitely once you feel more confident about your preparation, you can definitely target the higher percentiles also, which is 99 capped at 40, and 100 percentile is as much as 51 as a net score. So this was the analysis of DILR section.
Welcome back. We have EOM CAT 3 analysis for you this time, which was it an easy paper? Was it a difficult paper? VRC section. I hope people found it easy because I've seen a lot of scores and I have seen people who are happy. And I hope you are among one of those who are happy. So the next EOM starts in another 10 days. 28th is the date of EOM CAT 4, which means you have maybe another 10, 12 days to go through this analysis and figure out how do you want to approach EOM4. Will it be more difficult than this paper? Will it be easier? Can't say. I would want all of my papers to be similar, but yeah, we will keep doing a bit here and there. Anyways, back to the VRC analysis. So where do you stand? Beginners, intermediate, advanced. We did a session 3 days ago, Sunday, I guess, where it was approaching the mock strategy. If you have seen that session, you will know, because in that session, I actually defined these three terms: who is considered a beginner, who is considered at an intermediate level, and who is considered an advanced level in your mock preparation, mock strategy, pre-mock strategy. So if you get a chance to see that session, you will have a much clearer idea of why do we always segregate into these three stages, and then who falls into which category, and therefore how should, depending on whether you are a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced level person, how should you really prepare for the upcoming test. Same as always, sequence, selection, I'll tell you everything, how should we have worked on things, time allocation for both of them. So what was EOM CAT 3 VRC all about? Same format, 24 questions, 40 minutes, 16 questions in RCs, 8 questions in bubble logic. Out of those 8, 3 parajumble, 3 summary questions, 2 out of context. Overall, the paper was a solid reminder that you need to work on your RC skills, because the passages were anywhere between easy to moderate, but the passages were the only face-saving grace in this entire test. So let's start with your RC analysis, because that's where we started. First passage, very easy to read, extremely easy to read. Why? Because it was taken from a newspaper article. Yes, it's a newspaper article. You'll be able to Google it. Subtle racism. Very easy to read, easy to moderate questions. Why do I call them moderate? Because some of you have still not seen these kind of questions, which almost all of these were CAT level questions. Not CAT level, sorry. Almost all of these were CAT type questions. The applied information question, the logical purpose question. Yes, it was easy, but these are the kind of questions that you will understand as you keep giving EOMs better. So one easy question, two moderate questions, but then the first question was a bomb. I just hope people just understood when they read the first question that you just don't have to invest into every question in an RC. You have to understand that sometimes it is just not worth investing into. Second passage, a psychology passage. If you wanted to apply selection skills, you saw the first passage and it seemed easy, and then you got to the second passage and you forgot selection skills, whatever the case. This was a bit tortuous to read. Tortuous means a bit twisted. It wasn't difficult, but it would take you some time, maybe a minute or a minute and a half to adapt to what is happening. Questions were easy. Questions were super easy here. 3 moderate questions and 1 easy question. I don't think there is anything that you can expect better on CAT. So Schadenfreude, the German word for the joy that we feel when someone else is in a difficult situation. 1 primary purpose, 1 logical purpose, and then 1 was usage and semantics. Obviously a question that was very, very easy unless you did not know the words and choices. And if you have noticed, this Schadenfreude and the answer to question number 8, they will come back in summary. Third passage, science. Again, very easy to read. A mixed bag questions only because this again had an applied information and it had a flaw in the reasoning, a CR based question. So fear ecology. First question, moderate. The trap of 4, because that is what it is. We know how to create inference questions, and I don't really see inference questions becoming easy on CAT. Source of the passage, extremely easy. So if you did not get demotivated by the time you reached question number 12, this passage was not so challenging. I mean, this passage wasn't, if you got stuck in 10 or 11, then I can't say much. But if you did manage to maintain your head, 12 was a question that you cannot miss. And last passage, the passage on law, the balk rule of baseball, just the kind of passage that you would want to swap with the third passage. Not very difficult to read, questions were easy to moderate. You had a primary purpose, again a logical purpose. Then you also had an ordination of the passage. The only trap was the weakened question, which was very long. And most of you have not even reached verbal logic 2, where we teach weakened questions. So that question should have been left out if we haven't really taught you weakened questions. So that sums up your 4 passages and 16 questions. After that, you had verbal logic, like I said, Schadenfreude and epicaricacy coming back. Extremely difficult. So yeah, summaries, we intentionally made them very difficult. Expectation, summary questions have a negative marking. This was a paper which intended to remind people that when you read a summary question, you have to understand that summaries can be difficult. And if they are difficult, don't invest into them because there is a negative marking. You might want to take that much time and invest into anything else, paragrams or RCs or anything else, than summaries. I'm not saying summaries are always difficult. I'm saying if a summary question is difficult, exit. Just exit, because you can see here, everything that you see is either very difficult or difficult or difficult. So whatever time you spent in summary questions, you will want, whenever you analyze the test, you will want to go back and check why did you even spend so much time. Then you had your 3 parables. Difficulty of the difficult. Weird. I mean, it is just too weird. Then you had a Trump and Kubrick and macho support, which wasn't so difficult. And then you had affirmative art, which I think it was too simple, which could have been the tricky part that people tend to assume that no, so it can't be so simple, which is wrong. There are a lot of easy questions on CAT, and this parasample question number 22 was actually super easy, unless you intentionally or unknowingly made it too difficult. Out of context, Wollaston's book, very easy. I think the second question also, book feeling analysis, not so challenging. Compared to the summary questions, obviously not so challenging. So that covers your overall section analysis. Brings us to what was your section? 6 easy questions, 10 moderate questions. If you remember in the first slide, I said that the paper was overall moderate. When you have 16 questions out of 24, which are easy and moderate, yes, the section deserves to be called moderate. Expected attempts. Yes, I've gone very ambitious in this paper, and I know that. But then at some point, we had to go ambitious. We can't just keep on giving you a target of 15 attempts, because that's not what happens on CAT. You look at the verbal cutoffs every year. Not once in the last few years has verbal cutoff been lower than the remaining 2 sections. So we had to go ambitious in this paper. Yes, moderate questions, you had to attempt 9 to 10, because in the difficult and very difficult, out of 8 questions, I expect you to get me only 2 correct. So there's not even a need to attempt 4 questions if you're getting me only 2. But if you're going to leave out these 8 questions, I mean, from these 8, if you're only going to get me 2 correct, you have to get me the others correct from the easy and moderate. And if that means 100% attempts with a 90% accuracy, that's how it works. You save time here. You have to invest time here. You can't just give me 15 attempts in 25 minutes and tell me that you've done a good job in the verbal section. This is what people wait for in the analysis. What should you have done? Started with passage number 2, the best passage. If you remember, passage number 2 was the psychology passage, Schadenfreude. Then you go to passage number 4. Then you go to passage number 1. And last you go to passage number 3. Why is passage 1 so low? You remember passage 1 had that bomb question at the beginning? That's why passage 1 is so low. So expected performance, if you go in 2413, somewhere between the same old 17 to 22 minutes, you should have had 15 attempts and 13 correct. 18 to 20 minutes, 15 attempts, 13 correct in passages, amazing performance. You want to take more, I can give you more. You can take it at the higher end also. 3 into 4, 12 minutes to read and another 18 minutes to solve the answers. If you get me 30 minutes and you get me 15 attempts and 13 correct, it's not really an ideal situation, but if you are at a beginner or an intermediate level of preparation, you've done an amazing job. Because at 15 attempts and 13 correct, you're telling me 39 minus 2, 37 is your score. I am proud of you if you have scored 37 despite being at an intermediate level of preparation. Out of context was where I would expect people to actually invest time. Maybe around, you can take 5 minutes. I don't mind. So take 5 minutes and get me all both of them correct. Summary, you could have just left it. That's why I have this text at the bottom. You could have simply spared 2 to 3 minutes extra in passage 1 or passage 3. Instead of getting 4 attempts and 3 correct or 3 attempts and 2 correct, you could have gotten me an additional correct in the RCs and just given up on summaries. Not an issue at all. Every time I write 35 to 38, because more than this, my concern is this. You have to, at this point, you have to start focusing on treating your sections as 35-minute sections. The more you treat them as 40-minute sections, the more you will end up with that in that situation where you just run out of time. I don't want that to happen. So I said 37 for someone who attempts 15 questions, 13 attempts, 15 attempts, 13 correct and 2 incorrect. 37, look at that percentile there. At 37, at an intermediate level of preparation, you'll be sitting at a 90 percentile. So my recommendation, as you might have already seen, 17 attempts, 20 attempts, 17 correct, 3 incorrect, 51 minus 348. Is it too much? Maybe you think it is too much. For me, it is worth it. Because if CAT were to be conducted right now, a paper like this would be standing at a 48, a cutoff of 48 for a good score of 98 percentile. So it does go to 65 out of 72, yes. Isn't it too much expecting people to get 65 out of 72? No. How many people score of 100 percentile in verbal? I'm not even looking at 100 percentiles right now. So this should be your overall analysis. I don't think verbal has been way too higher than the other sections. You have a DI where you had a maximum of 60 in terms of score, and out of 60, your 100 percentile is at 52. And verbal out of 72, I'm expecting a VRC score of 65, and quant again out of 66, 22 into 3, you're at 61. So more or less in all of those cases, you're staring at what? A 90% of the section score puts you at an overall 100 percentile in each of them. Like it always happens, a total score of 400 percentile would be much lower. So look at the patterns. I think we do that in every session. Look at the patterns. You start at an 80 percentile, 31, 16, 20, and a total score of 62. Start moving upwards, and what do you get? From 80 to 90 percentile, which is a huge jump in terms of your expectations, all you need are what? 2 extra correct, 1 less incorrect. 2 extra correct, 6 marks. 3 extra correct, 9 marks. Then I go from 90 to 95 percentile. How many extra do I need? 43 would be what? 14 correct. And here I have 13 correct. So that is maybe just 1 or 2 extra again. Each stage you are looking at getting 2 additional questions correct. This is what we ask you to do in every strategy session. That's why I said the Sunday strategy session. And then we are going to do one more session in the mid of June, which will be how to analyze a mock CAT. I'm going to say the same thing. You will reach that 100 if you know how to reach that 80. Because it is a matter of getting 2 extra correct. And even if you are an 80 percentile in May, and every month you target to improve your score by get 2 extra correct in the next month, you can go from an 80 to a 90 to a 90 to 95 to a 99.5 also. Strategies are simple if you want to sincerely follow them. If you don't want to follow them, if you're an experimenter, if you're a person who wants to look at shortcuts, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say, and I have no ways to help you out. So this would be your overall analysis. And this is very close to what happened 2 years ago on CAT. So nothing here is outrageous. Yes, that's what we do. Our analyses are supposed to be things that give you a feeling of the actual CAT. So had you given the paper 2 years ago or 3 years ago, this is what you would have been staring at. And if you want to reach those levels, you have us, you have the papers, you have the analysis, and then so all you need is the same old thing. You need intent. You need beyond just the dream, you need that endeavor. I'll see you people in 2 weeks with the analysis of EOM 4. Keep studying. Keep yourself strong. Good night, everyone.